There's not been a lot of bands where I'm like, oh my God, this grates on me. And they're one. And I couldn't even pinpoint what it is about them, but I just like, I can't stand this. And I don't know why.
Hiya! How you doing? Oh, that's great to hear. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I shouldn't assume. I'm doing rather well. I'm Billericay Dicky? I can't remember. It's like a dirty song anyway. By Ian Dury and the Blockheads. CD that's been in my vehicle for months and months and months because I never take the CDs around anymore. So when you turn on a CD, that's the one that comes on. My friend Palmer thinks it's really funny. So today we got a drum episode for you folks. It's part 2 of my conversation with Clinton Charlton from a couple of months back. There was kind of a natural transition point where the first bunch of it we talked kind of about his life in music, and then we got into some nerdy drum chatter. So I split it up, but this is a classic drum episode. He and I are both kind of drummers who also do other things. Clinton plays the drums. Most recently, I would say, locally with the band Penny Blacks and with Jessica Ray. They've got some new music coming out. And I know he was out gigging with Penny Blacks on the weekend. They played a show in Riverport, Nova Scotia at the Old Confidence Lodge with Corey Eisner, whose new single and forthcoming album I played on, and the show was at the Old Confidence Lodge where we recorded the album. So check out Corey Eisner Teenage Blues on Spotify or wherever you listen to music. There's a lyric video on YouTube. So this is a fun one. We talk about the drums, things we like about playing drums, and things that suck a little bit about playing the drums. You know, I've been thinking about what is this learn drums thing I've got going on, and I've talked about this before, where initially I just had this idea to make like a here's how to play beginner drums channel. But now I'm interested in kind of covering both like the things that you're not going to learn by like here's how to play a beat, here's what fills are. Because there's a lot of things that come along in life with taking that route that the kind of technical end of things doesn't cover. Anyway, I am running out of time. So speaking of which, I'm playing drums in a pit band all week for the first time. That's new for me. Playing at a theater for play Around the World in 80 Days, the musical. School play at Interaction School of Performing Arts, where both Clinton and I teach. I'm playing next week at the Seahorse, playing guitar in the Bad Religion cover band. There's a punk tribute show. It's us. There's an Against Me band, the Distillers, and a tribute to Green Day's Dookie, all featuring friends. Week after that, Valerie is doing an EP release. Come get our cassette at the Seahorse. So that's June 13th and 20th, consecutive Thursdays at the Seahorse in Halifax, Nova Scotia. All right, here we are, me and Clinton Charlton talking drums. Enjoy.
Well, I was glad a couple weeks ago when you had said, you were thinking about expanding it beyond, because I was like, I don't know if I could talk about drums for an hour without like not only feeling phony, but being phony.
Yeah,
without having to like
too.
pretend that I was more than I was on that instrument. So.
Well, but also like you realize that nobody cares. Or that's
I don't know if that's true though. I think some people do. You know.
Oh yeah, I guess I shouldn't say that, because I think there is like if you were a pure drum guy and you wanted to make a pure drum thing, there is an audience of pure drum people out there. But I agree that I would feel phony because I don't really feel like I'm one of those guys. Like I get, for instance, I joined the Sabian Education Network.
Me too.
Did you? Yeah. Did you get there was a thing today, but they're doing a webinar with Brendan Buckley tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that's cool. I might watch it. But that's how I feel about that stuff. And maybe it's just a digital overload, because I also I get newsletters from record labels that I think are cool, but I never
Yeah.
listen to the records.
Same, yeah.
You know,
I signed up because I'm cheap, and I'm like, maybe they'll give me something free.
that's
You
what
know?
I thought
So,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think those people are out there, but I don't know. It's not me enough. I don't care enough about the pure drumming way of music.
Yeah. Do you know what, like, when it comes to drums, what I care more about than technique? And I do care about technique. Like, I don't want to make it like, oh, I don't give a shit, you know. But literally, like, tone and sound.
Mm-hmm.
I care more about that because I feel like, well, you're educated. Tell me if this makes sense to you, but like, not, I don't mean like I never went to high school. I mean, like, you're educated. Like I find,
read.
you know, if you get behind like a kid or like a new snare or something that you really dig the sound of, and it's, you know, it's tuned just like you like, or maybe like not even like you like, but just like something that intrigues you, you're going to play differently than you did on a different setup.
Totally.
Technique aside, you're going to play differently. So I feel like a lot of times tone will dictate, you know? And like I'm still teaching, which maybe I shouldn't say this stuff, but I'm almost starting to think like technique is a way of teaching something that somebody stumbled onto, but that maybe people would just stumble onto things anyway. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I think in all of my so I went to school and I didn't really ever learn technique, and so
No?
I developed bad habits and just things like I played heel down bass drum forever because that was just what I figured out on my own.
Okay.
And no, especially like you're playing jazz, it's like all anybody ever tells you is that you're too loud. Nobody ever
Sure.
tells you you're too quiet, so it was fine. But then playing in the punk band, I just destroyed my knee.
For sure.
Trying to play like that. So I learned on my own how to do it. And same thing with hand grip. I remember my first year teaching, which was just a job that I kind of landed. A few of my friends had worked there, and when I moved to Halifax, they're like, you should apply here, talk to these people. And so I got this gig, and they hired me to replace a friend of mine kind of behind his back.
Okay.
Yeah, which was like kind of cutthroat at the time. The old manager who did that is no longer there. But anyway, I just destroyed my hands and there's a point where I couldn't really move my left hand.
And this is after you were.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy to think that happened.
And so in any kind of technique that I have read up on since then, part of it has just been like, I feel embarrassed that I don't really feel like I'm in control of the drumsticks or whatever. But then more recently, it just is about avoiding injuries.
Yeah, I'm big on that. Like, you know, with my, you know, get that finger in, you know, like that kind of thing. But have you heard of the 80-20 drummer? It's like a course, or, you know, you can look up his YouTube channel, that kind of thing. But anyway, I bought this course summer before last called the 80-20 drummer. And kind of what the concept is, you know, he takes like the things that you currently know or think you know, and kind of proves to you that you don't, you know. Mm-hmm. And so one of the big things he was talking about was, you know, how's your time? And my time was fine, you know, on like the downbeat and the backbeat. But in between, it was a mess. Like, just like, oh my God, how have I been in bands this many years? Mess. Like, you know, really bad. And I find stuff like that, like, really intriguing. But one of the things was, you know, he was talking about grip, and I've always like forced on my students French grip, French grip, French grip.
Yeah.
And, you know, then he explained about how, like, well, it doesn't make sense to use any one grip, you know, consistently. Like, it should matter ergonomically on the kit,
like
where
what
you're
you're
at.
Hitting. And
and whatever works for you. And, like, it was so convincing. I'm not selling it here, but, like, so convincing that I came back that fall and, like, had to sit down with each one of my students and go, like, I've learned something this summer, and I have to tell you that we can now do it differently, you know? And, like, it was a really, like, humbling kind of thing, because I worried, like, oh, am I going to lose their trust over this? But I didn't, actually. It was like better.
Yeah.
Where they felt like they had more input too, and they could be like, well, what if I did it like this? Like, okay, well, as long as you're,
Yeah.
it like became more, lessons got better after that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But
I've definitely had that experience where like, oh yeah, actually that thing that I was showing you because I thought it was right, it's wrong.
yeah. And like how humbling, eh? Like,
Yeah.
and also like you go like, oh, I should still learn. Like, I should always learn.
There's a lot that, I mean, I've always had people around who can play a lot better than me. So you don't have to look very far to see someone who can do stuff that you can't do.
Yeah.
And I really felt when I was teaching a lot too, which was like, I got thrown into it and full-time, like 50 students, or it was probably 40 a week starting out, and it peaked at 50.
I'd cry.
And you're like, holy shit, I'm this guy now, so I'm responsible for, and especially like I was in a pretty weird headspace after I got out of school.
Sure.
But you think that what matters in this university program is the same thing that matters in lessons with 10-year-olds, and it absolutely is not. But you think that like, well, I gotta, I felt all this pressure to like be the guy who knew everything.
Yeah.
And so the things I would say that the things that I have looked into the most and it was my younger brother got into the drums, and he got that Jojo Mayer hand technique DVD.
Okay.
If you ever saw that thing, there's like probably about 10% of it that I've ever been able to use, but he really kind of walks through some things that improved. I think the way I hit it. And then I went to see this guy Dave Elich last year.
You did?
Yeah,
That's the same guy Mike went and saw.
After talking, I'd never heard of him before talking to Mike.
Cool.
But we took a trip down to California, kind of as a lark, to go to a music conference. It was the first time I'd ever done something like this with this guy whose newsletter I read. It just kind of came through at the right time, which was like, hey, I'm putting on this thing. You should come. And I was like,
yeah.
I could do this.
For sure.
So anyway, I did. We went down, Jane and I, and I took a lesson with Dave while I was there. And his whole thing is like, he really has studied the physics and the anatomy of it.
Yeah.
And so his whole technique thing is like what's going to work best for your joints and the way the stick works. And
so you took some stuff from it, obviously.
I did. I still haven't figured out I think it was he changed the way I hit the bass drum, which I think was really good. The problem that I always have is that I'm tall, so it's like the drum stool, the throne, whatever. I feel weird saying that word, but
Throne.
Yeah. It's always too short. I need to bring my own, or else the one that I have to use is always too short. So
on backline kits?
Yeah.
Hate it.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Totally. So I've like got all these kind of muscle problems. But yeah, it's basically that. It's like your foot is flat and the pedal will hit the drum head and then it'll bounce back a bit, but your foot will keep it from bouncing fully back. But so it's more of this like the big muscles doing all the work. The rest of your leg is acting as a lever or something, and then it just.
So you're not burying the beater.
No. So he also was like, it's like American dollars an hour, which was like whatever, it cost what it cost, and it was worth it. But he's like, yeah, so this is pretty good. Hit me up on Skype in a month, and we'll check in. And I've never done it.
For free?
No.
Oh. Like you guys are pals now? You mean?
Yeah, no. And he's got a course now, which you can buy, which I would like to buy. But again, it's like $200, and I just haven't felt like I had the extra money and was that interested in making that kind of an investment in drum technique.
I know what you mean. Have you checked out Ash Sohn? Do you know who that guy is?
No, who's that?
He's like a studio dude. British, I think. He plays on The Voice UK.
Okay.
He's like the house guy for that. You should check out like his Instagram. He's a studio guy. It's this little like round house outside of his home
Yeah.
That's his drum studio, and he'll do like sessions for, like he does like Adele records and
Crazy.
and James Morrison, like, you know. But anyway, his Instagram is like really an inspiring thing, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if you're ever looking for inspiration, and he does this like push pull, 16th note hi hat shuffle that just is baffling the hell out of me, and it's so beautiful. Like, you know you know
Jojo
you know what I mean by the
talks
molar
about that
technique?
on that video.
Yeah,
I can't do it, but
yeah. So there's like, and actually maybe being in the band with me sucks, but like there's this Penny Black song where I'm like, I want to use this, and my poor patient bandmates have to sit while I'm trying to learn this technique, you know, in this song, right?
Well, I thought I shouldn't say I can't do it, but I can't do it very fast. It's like also like Anderson .Paak. If you ever see that guy
Oh my
play,
God,
because
yes.
he can do the like,
Yeah.
and it looks effortless.
Yeah.
But I've tried to play that like that one. What's it called? You drank up all my liquor.
Oh yeah. The first one he plays on the Tiny Desk concert.
Yeah, totally. I've tried to play it. And I just can never play it at that speed.
That's all rebound, like.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah. That's not really like, that's just fast. Like, son of a bitch, how are you doing that?
I know. Like I would have to play that with two hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we like drums a little more than we thought.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is funny. I do discover that. I also find following those guys on Instagram, it's the mid-level guys I get burnt out on, but some of them. I like that it humanizes them a bit in a way where it's not like the rules of drumming are that you must be able to execute at this speed.
Oh, yeah.
Or like this kind of guy, it's more like, no, I just am really into this. And yeah, it's kind of nerdy, but I like it.
Yeah, like, Hal Blaine recently died. Don Familaro.
Oh, yeah, that too.
I want to say Flamolero, but that makes no
Famulero.
sense.
Flamolero.
He's named after
Dom Flamadiddle.
Anyway, he has this interview series on YouTube, and he interviewed Hal Blaine, and he doesn't talk about technique at all. You know, he talks about like attitude. You know, he talks about like just wanting to be part of the music and like serving songs. I'm like, that's the shit that interests me. You know, like because it could be any instrument he's playing. You know, he just wants to be part of the music, and he just happened to be really good at drums.
Well, and he strikes me as that kind of player too. And again, I haven't really seen him play in a context where he really is ripping.
Right.
Although I did watch that Wrecking Crew documentary, and he's got the 80 toms or whatever the kid is. But most of that stuff you listen to, and it's just his beats that feel good.
Right. Yeah. Or like Jim Keltner, right? Like, he gets all that work because he's awesome, but also because like they want to hang around with him. Like, I don't get Jim. You know what I mean? Like,
I know that he is a big deal. Like he's a legend, and I know that I've listened to stuff that he's played on, but I always think, he's one of those guys where you hear it and you're like, oh, it must be the other stuff that's really impressive.
Well, I think that's his bag. I don't think he's trying to be impressive, I just think it's just the right part.
Yeah.
Like Ringo. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. And I do find like we played that his Handle with Care, the Traveling Wilburys tune. That drum part is weirder than it seems.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sure it is. Yeah. Yeah, because it's literally everything's in the right spot, right? Yeah.
I know, it's just like a crash where I wouldn't put it, or that's like there's like a little pause where I wouldn't have thought to put it.
Yeah,
it's very arranged, but you got to know where the stuff is.
Like when people tell me, especially other drummers, like, "Oh, Ringo sucks." Like, okay, well, go play his parts.
I don't play any of his fills.
Yeah, right. He's leading with his left.
Yeah.
But he always played he played the right part. Every time. Like in my life is perfect.
Yeah, totally.
It's the perfect drum part.
The one that I used to always try to do, but nobody could ever play, and I even couldn't, is She Said, She Said.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, it's like the perfect Ringo fills. They all sound good. They feel good. You can figure out what kind of the order of the notes is, but I can never make it sound like them.
Yeah. Or like, you listen to like Baby I'm a Rich Man or Baby You're a Rich Man.
Yeah.
That's groove. That's so much groove. might not even be him, but you know, but it's so much. What's it? Bernard Purdy says he played on all their.
Yeah. And Quincy Jones said that I got somebody else in.
Yeah.
I met Bernard Purdy, actually.
You did?
Yeah, the Cape Breton Drum Festival. I got his DVD around here somewhere.
He was there, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like the last year, and I wouldn't have even gone. My younger brother had this drum teacher who put him in it. Like the start of the day, they would have like student showcase kind of thing.
Okay.
And so, yeah, he was there. Like Carmen Apiece was there.
Carmen Apiece was there.
Oh, yeah, Billy Cobham. I saw Billy Cobham.
Jesus, did you meet these people?
I only met Bernard Purdy and only briefly.
Only met Bernard Purdy.
Oh yeah,
That's
I was
pretty cool.
so. I bought a DVD because he's got these DVDs that he had made,
Okay.
and I asked him to sign it, and he did, but he like had this move where he would just like smoothly kind of. Just like reach in and grab the paper out of the sleeve, but didn't come.
He was a hustler.
Well, yeah, the lady who was working the merch table was like, "Watch this. This is slick or whatever."
Okay.
And then he did it, but it kind of caught on the case.
Okay.
And I said something like, "Oh yeah, it's all smooth on the stage, but this is like the." And my whole point was like, you got to practice to be any good. That's what I thought I was getting at. I was just like, it's Bernard Purdy, man. Just
Sure,
shut up.
I get it. That's cool. Was he like was he arrogant? I guess.
No, not at all. He was
wasn't.
nice. But he signed it, he autographed it, and made it out to Ron.
Okay. There's something beautiful about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there is.
Do you know Jay Bellerose? Have you heard of?
No.
Oh man, he that guy. Like, he's doing it for me. Like that guy. I was really into him when we made this Bonnet House record that I was talking about.
Yeah.
And like, it's almost embarrassing. Like, it's probably a tribute to like trying to be that guy. Like, he's so good, man. I went through this period where, every record I bought was like, I'm a credits guy. Like, you probably are too. You're a music nerd, but I'd look at the credits and be like, "Oh yeah, it's Jay Bellerose." That's why I like this shit. Like,
Really?
Such an amazing drummer. You should check him out, man. Like,
Who does he play with?
He does the producer Joe Henry. He does all the records that he does. So he's Joe Henry did the last Rose Cousins record.
Oh,
That
okay.
really good. And Jay Bellerose plays drums on it. Anyway, he's like this grumpy looking, frumpy middle aged dude that just has this amazing approach to drums. Like, and he plays ultra light, so like the tone of his drums are different than we're used to hearing. you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, like that's another guy that just comes to mind. Thinking about inspiring drummers, I guess. I don't know.
Sure, yeah. What's funny about that, we say it's like probably tribute to him. The nice thing about but I think in this day and age too, it's like all influences are obscure unless you are, if you were trying to rap like Kendrick Lamar or something, like
Right.
people will pick up on that.
Sure.
But if you were trying to drum like Jay Bellerose, like chances are pretty good that nobody will notice, even if you are ripping him off.
Around here, maybe, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I guess what you don't see is all those hours I put in listening to like the Roots trying to play like Questlove, man. I adore that guy.
Yeah, I know. He's great. That's what I found when I was teaching a lot. It was like Questlove, John Bonham, and Dave Grohl.
Never cared about Bonham at all.
Really?
Ever.
See, I didn't until I got those live DVDs. I just thought he wasn't very good, honestly.
Oh, I think he's great,
Yeah.
but I never wanted to play like that.
Oh, I did.
Yeah?
I definitely went through a phase of wanting. And it is that kind of pressure thing where you feel like that's how good you're supposed to be.
I don't know. It always just seemed like you gotta it was like eruption. Like playing a Bonham was like eruption for guitar players. Like, and I was like, I don't have any interest in this. Being
Fair
part of
enough.
this, and because of that, hi there.
I would say he really is the only guy that is that good that I've ever tried to.
Yeah, but
imitate.
I realize he's like,
Yeah.
But it was just all the connotation. It's like the Grateful Dead. Like I've recently started getting into the Grateful Dead,
Yeah.
but avoided them for years because of the connotation.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Right. Dumb, I know, but still.
Oh, I mean, I'm still there.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never. There. It's also because the discography is so
Oh, it's like intimidating.
Where do you start?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, but I also know I'm not going to be like that guy that goes like, you know what, man, the May of '87 was way like,
Yeah.
I don't care, but
That's the version.
you ever do that? And you're like I know nothing about Pink Floyd, so like one day I'll probably just sit down and go like, I should probably listen to some Pink Floyd. Like I tell people I don't like them, but I really don't know. I might.
Right.
I don't know. You know.
I would say I like a little bit of it. It kind of got into a little, but it was just hearing songs here and there on the radio. I got into Dark Side of the Moon after watching the Dark Side of Oz.
Okay.
As an 18-year-old.
I honestly don't know. Like, is Another Brick in the Wall, is that on Dark Side? Like, I don't know.
No, that's on The Wall.
Okay, well, that
The
makes
Wall's
sense.
hard to get through. I really can't. There's a couple songs on The Wall has got that one, Comfortably Numb.
Oh yeah, that's a good tune.
Yeah. But it's got some really grating ones too.
But,
And it's a double album.
It's so dumb because it's like, if you were like, you like Floyd, I'd be like, no. But I really don't know about Pink
Yeah.
Floyd. I really
Well, they're
don't.
another one though. They've got a lot of records, and I know two. I remember being at Backstreet one day and asking Gordy, like, "What's this?" It's like, "This is Pink Floyd." And it was some Pink Floyd album I'd never listened to.
Yeah, I know what you mean about that. Where you're like, oh, geez, maybe I do like them or something. Like,
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on like the Dave Matthews Band?
I really liked them before I went to university,
Okay.
and when I was the only person I knew who listened to them.
Okay.
And maybe I thought I was sophisticated or whatever as a teenager.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I got to St. FX and they were everyone's favorite band.
Okay.
And they would just listen to the same 5 Dave Matthews songs on repeat. It drove me nuts. I couldn't listen to them after that. I would say throughout my first year, Ants Marching was played at every party I went to that year.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've been a polarizing band in my life because there's not I like music.
Yeah.
There's not been a lot of bands where I'm like, oh my God, this grates on me. And they're one. And I couldn't even pinpoint what it is about them, but I just I can't stand this and I don't know why. But
I hated the kind of groupthink of it, and the people be like, seeing Dave for the 5th time this year. It's like, there are other bands. Go see someone else, please.
Yeah.
And also I remember we did Secret Santa one year, and some guy on my floor got somebody gave him this poster of the Dave Matthews Band just standing in the woods, and it said Dave Matthews Band on it, and his buds are like, "Oh man, this is the coolest poster ever." How is it the coolest poster ever? It's 5 guys standing in the woods.
Yeah, somebody was telling me oh, you got to check out Dave Matthews and Carter Beaufort's, this amazing drummer, and I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And I was like, yeah. And I did. I checked out a bunch of stuff, a good sampling. And I was like, yeah, he's obviously got chops. But Christ's sake, if I ever run down 15 toms in the middle of a ballad, punch me. That makes no sense.
And, the hi-hat stuff, I definitely can't play like him.
But I don't want to.
No, I don't want to either.
I don't know. I guess it works in context, and people love them, but I don't get it.
No, I don't get it either. I know it's maybe. Yeah, I think it was a thing when I was, 16 and all my friends were listening to pop punk basically.
Yeah.
I thought that I was pretty eclectic for listening to whatever little bit of Dave Matthews I could get my hands on.
But you know what I worry about, and this is the thing, I worry that I shoot my mouth off about them for years, that one day I'm going to be at Backstreet Records and Gordy's going to have something on. I'm going to go, what's that? He's going to go, it's Dave Matthews.
Oh yeah, it's going to be crash into me.
Right? What? I really like this one.
You're going to, yeah, I mean, I think what is also funny is I can now listen to songs from that era and be like, yeah, I don't know, dude.
Yeah. You know what it is though? A lot of stuff will carry the nostalgia, right? Music, right? So my wife loves Dave Matthews, and for her that's awesome. But it's also part of it's the music, but part of it's her good times with her pals. You know what I mean? You ever hear that song? What's it called? I know it's by the Manhattans. Shining Star by the Manhattans. Do you know it?
No.
It's a totally insignificant 70s jam that, you would be ignorable. But every time that comes on, I'm in the backseat of my car coming back from, or backseat of my dad's car coming back from my grandmother's house, and I don't know why, but that very specific thing happens.
It is
every
amazing,
time. And that makes me adore that song.
Yeah.
So those things happen.
Yeah, I know the way that'll trigger those things. I remember my friend's bachelor party. They rented a 15-passenger van, and we were driving around PEI drinking in the back of the van. But they put on Rancid, Out Come the Wolves, which I hadn't listened to in high school. And exactly that, where I haven't listened to this album in, I don't know, 10 or 15 years at that point, and I can still sing along with every song.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it just totally brings you back there.
And then there's some stuff where it's like, I only know a smattering of them, but I know it's great. Like Otis Redding, I could probably name like 8 Otis Redding songs, but I know he's great.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I've got a double album of it's just Otis Redding's greatest hits, and same like Sitting on the Dock of the Bay is the only one I could tell you for sure the name of.
Sure.
I think he maybe plays a Beatles song or two on it.
Sure.
But yeah, it's great. Like the vibe is great,
And that's what it is. You just know the vibe's great. Yeah. There's what's that track? Pain in My Heart, where he says, "I want you to come back, come back, come back." Like when he says that, I don't think it's like I don't think he's saying like, "I'm hurting, I want you to come back." It feels like he's saying like, "Get your ass back here." Like he's that kind of vocalist where it's just like, "This is so great, so much muscle in this."
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't know that about him until I'd seen some, because I had only ever heard Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, and then you see the live video where he's an energetic performer.
Hell yeah,
that dude.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I like that guy. Here's a nerd one for you. When I was a little kid, I had a mixtape, but it really only had 3 songs on it, that had Fire and Rain by James Taylor, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, and I think it was a 3 Dog Night song that Jeremiah was a
Joy to the World.
Those 3 songs over and over and over again. That was it. I just wanted that. Like, just those songs. Yeah.
That's funny, man. Yeah, I used to have a tape that had, my cousin had made it for me, and it only had Life is a Highway and Tears in Heaven on it. And I wouldn't really get into Tears in Heaven, but I would listen to Life is a Highway every day.
Great. There's an interesting thing. Like, I loved that song, Life is a Highway. I loved it. And then, what are they? Rascal Flats? Is that what they're called?
Oh, yeah.
Now I hate that song, and it's because of them.
Uh-huh.
Has that ever, funny how another artist can ruin someone's music, eh?
Even just hearing stuff too much. Like, I find a lot of 90s stuff, while I do have a certain nostalgia for it, I can only listen to it. I can only hear it so many times before it just starts to lose all of its mojo or whatever. I remember working a temp job a couple years ago. It was like working setup it was a Paderno factory sale as like a manpower, you have work for the day kind of gig. But they were playing, there was like the modern rock radio station, and they were just playing all these songs I knew from the 90s. I was like, man, this is great.
This is killing, yeah.
And then as the day goes on, you're like, they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel now.
Yeah, sure.
They could play every song that was a hit.
Sure. I find I have a 5-year-old boy, as you know, and I find I run into that a lot where it's like I'm just so excited to show him stuff, and I'll be like, oh man, you've got to hear this, 10 by Pearl Jam. This is it's going to change your life, Grayson. He's 5,
Yeah.
And I'll play and be like, you want to put on something else? That happens more frequently than I'd like to admit,
That's my friend Gavin was describing that. I think it was just my old bandmate, but it seemed we had a younger guy join the band, and he's like, man, did you ever listen to Alice in Chains? They're acoustic, their MTV Unplugged album. And same thing, you put it on, it's like,
you want to put on something else? Yeah. Yeah. But, in that moment, it was amazing,
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah, I captured whatever it was, a vibe or a certain energy of the times, I guess.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All right. So how are we doing? Should we shut it down? How long have we been talking for?
I feel like it's been a while.
Yeah. Let's see. I didn't turn. Oh, my God.
It's tomorrow. What? We didn't record?
No, I had I had the metronome running the whole time. I hope it didn't print to the track.
I know. Given the subject matter, I hope it did.
Oh my God. All right. Hope you enjoyed that one. I know we certainly did. So you can check Clinton out at clintoncharlton.bandcamp.com for his stuff. He's got a new video out with Jessica Rae. I can't remember what it's called, but if you search up Jessica Rae, it's Rhaye. They're doing, I think it's an album of Bob Dylan covers. And Penny Blacks too. Been busy playing with, I don't know if they have new music coming out. Sorry, Jason. I don't know. I'm wearing my hospital grade shirt right now, actually. A band which features an old St. John band, which Glory Glory Man United did some shows with way back in the day, featuring a couple members of Penny Blacks. Penny Blacks now being, I guess, like alt country. I don't think is a term that anybody likes to use, but that will put you in the right world for that project. Hospital Grade being more of like a post-punk, like at the drive-in-y kind of band. I would say more melodic, hooky perhaps than at the drive-in, but again, that'll put you in the right ballpark. And of course, at Learn Drums on Instagram, learndrums.ca. I have a personal Instagram. It's Brown with the Sickness. I find it very difficult to care about two Instagram accounts at the same time, so I can often be found using one or the other, or neither. Oh, and if you like the song you're hearing in the background right now, it is up on your favorite listening platforms. The artist name is Beach Chair. The song is called Panic. I got a new one that's almost done, a new song I've been working on with my friend Adam Warren, my former bandmate. He's been producing and recording this track for me. It's been on the back burner forever, as both he and I have been busy with other things, but he made it a lot better. It's a fun song, and it's like feels like a summer jam to me, so I'd like to put it out this summer. But of course, the challenge, as anybody who's done this knows, is I don't have a plan in place right now, so I can put it out, just tell people, and get no traction beyond that. Or I can do it the proper way and wait forever for the thing to actually come out. Like maybe it'll be ready next year. So we'll see. Maybe there'll be a new single this summer. Keep your ears peeled. All right, that's it from me. Talk to you next week. Over and out.